Hi guys, so today we're going to be working on our Wassily Kandinsky April Showers, Spring May Flowers painting. So bear with me, I'm going to be doing my project upside down, but at least you guys can see what I want you guys to do. So you can do this any way you want. I'm going to fully watercolor my background. So starting off, I'm just going to get all my paper wet. I'm just using regular water and a big brush. Your paper is going to start to curl, so you can see that's okay. So we'll get it to dry flat here in just a second. Okay, now that my background is all wet, you can start adding your background colors. I'm going to go with a very pastel background, so really light, vibrant colors, just because I think that fits our card theme a little bit better than some really, really bright, almost abstract colors. I want my flowers to be able to pop, so that's why I want my background to be kind of almost muted in a way with the colors. So I'm using green and yellow and a little bit of orange in there. I'll probably throw some shades of purple too. Hopefully you guys can see that. Alright. We're going to get this to dry really, really good. Too, before we get too far. Add some yellows in there. Now you want to be careful that when you're painting that you're not using your brush too much in a circular motion, because you will start to rub up the paper of the card. So just nice light brush strokes so you don't ruin your paper. Make sure you're also working on a surface that you can get watercolor on. I'm going to throw a little bit of blue in there. Blue and green. Alright, and I'm going to let that dry really good. I'm actually going to grab a paper towel and I'm going to stamp over top of it so you guys can see. Alright, so that pulled up a lot of my watercolor, which is okay because, again, I wanted it super light. So you can see there is some color change on there. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit more so we get kind of that vintagey feel around the corners. You can do whatever you guys want. It's your card at the end of the day. And this is why we're learning about Wassily Kandinsky, because he was so inspiring to the art world, that he believed that color just had a lot of emotion tied to it, and that it was important to use that in the art. So there's really no right or wrong. It's just kind of how you're feeling in the moment when you're creating the artwork. Okay. Now, you guys, I did put in the description in Google Classroom that you can use markers, colored pencils, crayons, whatever you have at home to do this project. I'm just using watercolors and some markers. So that is totally up to you what you want to do. But now I'm switching paintbrushes, and my page is still really wet, but there's not big puddles of water anywhere. So I'm going to grab my pigment straight out of the watercolor. I'm using red right now. And I don't want a lot of water in that color. I just want to be mostly paint. So you can see that's just all paint right in there. And I'm going to start my circles. Now remember, when we did our rock paintings, his circles were nowhere near perfect. Right? Pick up some orange. So it's fun to kind of just explore with this and see like where the watercolor takes you. Now remember, I am working upside down. So this is the top of my card and this is the bottom. This project shouldn't take you very long when you get down into it. I do want you to have some fun though with it. Be creative. If you want to take your time and let your card dry completely before you start painting on top so you don't have this bleeding, you definitely can. I think it adds to the flower dimension, meaning that the flowers look more like they have kind of this abstract like petal going on when it starts to grow, and we'll use our markers to kind of define those lines too. But we're just going to go in here and we're going to make rings of color. If you guys have any questions at any point, feel free to email me or comment on our Google Classroom. We are using Miss Metrion's Google Classroom just to kind of eliminate some of the confusion that anybody might have had when I was running my own Google Classroom. So again, we're just working right out from the art topic. I love how my colors are bleeding together, actually. That's looking kind of funky. I like it. It's different. They're not perfect. And that's what's so fun about some of these artists, is that it's okay to be a little out of the norm. Make sure you're not using very much water when you're picking up these colors. I'm just rinsing my brush, and then I am dabbing it. So I rinse my brush, dab it on my paper towel, and then I pick up my color. I think I'm going to paint one more little flower, maybe right up in here. As my paper is drying, my pigment is not spreading anymore, so you can see when I painted my first two flowers, my paper was still very saturated and very wet. Now as I'm moving along, my paper is drying, therefore my colors are not bleeding together, so I am going to get some different shapes, which is okay. I'm purposely letting some of my paints bleed together. Again, you guys don't have to do that. You can let it dry in between each one. But I'm going to let my page dry, and then I'm going to use some markers, and I'm going to go in and define some of those areas really, really good. And give them some higher detail quality. So what I do want to know is who you guys are giving your paintings to. I haven't quite decided. I think I'm going to give mine, I think I'm going to give mine to my grandma. And when I go over there, I plan on bringing her some flowers anyways. This whole quarantine has been kind of hard. She hasn't been able to see her grandkids, so I think that I will just drop off her card and a plant for her here at the end of the week when this is all done drying. Okay, finishing up this one. All right, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna let mine dry really, really good. But in the meantime, I'm going to write down at the bottom, so I am going to flip this around. April showers bring May flowers. And then we will go in and do the detail work. And you can write this any way you want, you guys. guys can see that. That's all I did. I am going to go, since my painting is still drying, I'm just going to go in and decorate around it. Be really, really careful when you are doing this, guys, because your paper is still really wet and it's super easy to tear. So take your time. You can work as fast as I am, but if you feel like you have a chance of ruining your card, just go ahead and slow down and take your time. Okay, now that for the most part my paintings are dry, I do want you to put stems on these. Get creative with your stems. They don't have to look just like that. In fact, I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to put a funky little pattern because this is abstract. But it's totally up to you guys what you want to do. And I'm just going to throw some dots in there and call it good. So I'm going to make this one. There we go. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap because I am going to put some petals in around my flowers. You can use different color markers too for your stems. I'm just going with black because I want my flower petals to really, really stand out. So that's why I'm going with that color. Okay. So then I'm going to go in with my marker. I'm just going to hold my picture in place. And I'm just adding some detail to my petals. So I'm going to finish this one. And then I am going to pause the video so that you guys can work on your own flowers. But just so you can see what I'm doing. And then I will post my finished product for you guys in Classroom. Alright guys, so that's how my flowers are going to look. I will be posting my final product or my final painting for you to look at here shortly. I hope you guys enjoyed.